We are all here. There's nobody here. There's nothing we can do. We go straight to the first presentation. Mrs. Treasure Ishaibo, maybe I should just introduce her team. She's Executive Director for Speaking Fingers. Her passion is to speak and to build inclusion with the person with hearing impairment, which we call the deaf. She has been in that area and she does not suffer from hearing impairment. That's her passion. She has been there like 20 years. This is my team, Busala, our program officer, Tunde, our communication officer. We will have another person who is a lawyer, an attorney, working with Lagos State government as a lawyer, a visually impaired lawyer, and also the chairperson of Joint Association of Persons with Disability for Lagos State. So it's a long one that we think that at the end of the day, you should be able to live with a better understanding of what we're saying. So we're starting with strengthening inclusive society through disability knowledge. Oftentimes, if we don't have the knowledge, it appears as if the knowledge is important in everything. And somebody has said that if you say knowledge is expensive, try ignorance. And because of our society, because of everything that happened, because of religion, most people do not even understand anything about person with disability at all. And I think that I'm happy that NCDC is the only military or service corps that had PWD there. So we should even congratulate ourselves with that, because I know police only has gender desk. They do not have a PWD. And you know, the issue of inclusion is becoming something global. You can't afford not to talk about inclusion. You can't leave people behind. And I think some of the challenges we have as we talk about this is the fact that we think that persons with disability are very minimal because we don't see them everywhere. Unfortunately, they are large population. It's just that the problem we have is that, particularly in Nigeria and Africa, people hide them because of shame. There's nothing to be shameful about if you have a person with disability. So we will start with having the knowledge, because you can only give what you have. So we need to have, I know that the PWD unit must have trained you somehow, but at least we need to reemphasize that again and again. How do I strengthen an inclusive society with the knowledge? So we first of all want to say, what exactly is disability? Because you start from that place. If you don't know what disability is, we might miss the goal. We want to say what disability is not. Because that's the first thing. Because we might not, there's a difference between a disability and what disability is not. So you need to understand what disability is not in the first instance. And I say, disability is not a character flaw. So if you have a character flaw, that's not disability. This is me, it can really change. Or I cannot change. That's a character flaw that you have. It's not a disability. So don't say I cannot change. That's how I talk. That's how I react. That's a character flaw. That's not disability. So you need to know what is disability and what is not disability. So the first thing you need to know is that disability is not a character flaw. It may not be illness per se, quote and unquote. Disability may not be illness. Yes, it can be illness, but it may not be illness. It may not be something that you want to heal, because some of them are permanent, some of them, you can't change anything about it. So it may not be illness that you are going to hospital for. Yes, there are some that it can actually be illness, something leading to something, but it basically, majority is not illness. May not be inability. That you have a disability does not mean that you don't have any ability at all. So we need to understand all these basic factor about what disability is not. So it may not be inability. That does not mean that I do not have another ability. That does not mean that I cannot be useful. That does not mean that I cannot be relevant to the society. That does not mean that I cannot contribute either economically, socially, and otherwise to the development of our society. So we need to understand that. And it is not addiction. Because sometimes when we will get to that level, when we see, is a drug addict. It may not necessarily be. Yes, we know that some people can become persons with disability because of addiction to drug, and then mentally they are not coordinated and all that. But when you talk of real disability, it's not about addiction. And most of us have addiction. We are addicted, some of us are addicted to our food, to social media, to whatever. So disability may not be addiction as the case may be. Other misconception about disability that we need to quickly clear before we go into, because we are talking about getting the basic knowledge so that you can be able to operate. Other misconception that people have about disability, people say if you are truly disabled, you will need a caregiver. That's a lie. And that's why I find something like we say, maybe you find somebody begging. Why I'm not encouraging begging? Well, you know, in Yoruba, they will say, you assume that every person with disability must need a caregiver, must always need a support. No, it doesn't follow. Yes, some of them will need, but if we train them to be dependent and to begin to work on their own and to be to function on their own, they may not need a caregiver as time goes on. Not all person with disability need caregiver. People with disability are highly intelligent. That is controversial. Yes, they are intelligence. We know that when you have a disability, there's a way that nature will empower you to be able to have strength in some other area. But the question is, we all have the same senses. They do not have extra sense. They say, they have extra sense. No. We all have the same number of senses. So basically, they can be intelligent in certain area because nature cannot leave you helpless. Nature has a way of equipping you. That's why some people, when you see people who are visually impaired, sometimes you say that they have a strong sense of smell that they can actually know who is there in the course of interaction with them. You will find some of them say they are trained. Like most of us who know Koba, that musician who is visually impaired. Sometimes when you meet him, he will say, let me give you 500 naira, and he give you 500 naira. You know, how does he know that this is 500 naira? According to me, he has trained himself. Before he will leave house, he will put 500 in one place, 1,000 in one place. And so by the time you say, let me give you 500 naira, and he just give you 500 naira, it's out of training of himself. So sometimes if you say all of them are intelligent, yeah, they are intelligent, but they are intelligence as every other person. So there's no difference between all of us. So don't say that they are more intelligent. The person with disability I've seen, or you are angry with your child, all the children with disability I've seen, they're very intelligent in something. It's on degree. So you are not intelligent. If I am not intelligent, why are we expecting that? But of a truth, some of them, because of nature, has to empower you with something that because if you are lacking something, nature will not leave the loophole. Nature will allow you. So persons with disability are not caused by God. Okay, people on wheelchair are not chronically ill or unable to walk. How many of us know that fact? Sometimes they are not chronically ill or unable to walk. Or some of us who have traveled internationally, you will see that some people, in fact, it was while I was traveling that I understand that. You will see that some people, they will use wheelchair to carry them from one point of entry to another. And then when they get to they can stand up and walk. So they are not critically ill. Most of them are not critically ill or unable to walk. In fact, if you're an adult of 80 years and above, you are entitled to use a wheelchair in the airport, particularly where we have a long airport. And so you can demand from the airport that they could a wheelchair that they will carry you. In fact, that was my first experience was when I traveled and I saw 2 or 3 people, like old women like that, old women and men who were carried to. And then when we go to where we're going to, where before you now enter the plane, they all stood up and said, so these people just use Wayo on us. They just wanted to go ahead of us. But see, it doesn't mean when you use wheelchair, it does not mean that you are chronically ill or you are unable to walk. Some of them are able to walk depending on the degree. If you have a polio, I know somebody who has some polio, and she was able to walk for a certain level. But in the last 2 years, when I saw her, she was already using wheelchair. She said the pain was too much, and she had been telling herself that she was not going to use wheelchair. So she was using drug to kill the pain. But she said at the time she asked herself, why should I continue to be on drug? And then she opted for wheelchair. So you can actually not be chronically ill or unable to walk. Persons with disability are not caused by God. That's myth, that's societal norm. It's not because they are caused by God. No, nobody caused you. Yes, there could be error. Why? Because here we don't understand a lot of it. There could be error where a mother used drug that she was not supposed to use at pregnancy and all that. But that does not mean that mother was caused. That is if it is drug or medically related. There are some disabilities that are not related to abuse of drug or something. But oftentimes, we, as a woman, it's also very good to get used to the drug you can use while you are pregnant. But some don't know. So eventually they have. Parents of PWD had not seen, are not majorly responsible for their children. Because that's what we think in Africa, in Nigeria. It may not necessarily be. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Hello. You know the reason why you are protecting state commands in your divisions and your pits. I noticed some of you are not
all that. So thank you, sir, and thank you for that observation. Parents of PWD are not majorly sinner, so it's really important for us to understand that. Those are the misconceptions and things we need to understand about disability. Yeah, if you now talk about disability, let's just go straight to how do you know that this person has disability, and what is the internationally recognized description of a person who has disability. Disability has to be long-term substantial impact that does not allow an individual to do or perform certain things. Long and substantial. You need to take note of those two keywords. It has to be long and substantial. That does not allow an individual to perform certain actions. It must limit activities and participation. When you say you have a disability, it must limit your ability and participation in certain activities. Like if you say that I'm a physically challenged person, we don't use wheelchair and all those languages. It's not because we're not doing all those things, but so you have to get used to the languages within the ecosystem also. So we don't say you wheelchair user and all that. So a physically challenged person may not be able to run like a person who is not physically challenged. So it means that his disability has a long and substantial, meaning that it is not something that often that you can get away with. When you have a swollen leg or a small broken leg, yeah, you may call it a temporary disability, but the fact remains that it's not long and it is not substantial, because that wrinkled leg or something can really get healed. So you need to understand this. When you describe disability, a person with disability, how long and how substantial is that impact? Or does that thing limit his or her ability to participate in certain actions? So it must limit your ability in participation in activities. It's very crucial. You need to understand that. Well, when you talk about disability, any limitation in physical or mental function in carrying out socially defined tasks, any limitation to physical or mental function. Sometimes you say 2 times 2 and you expect the person to pick it. Yeah, we learn at a different level, or you say 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 4 and you are expecting the answer. So any limitation that your physical movement or your mental alertness, and we'll get into all some of these things little by little. Sorry, I'm rushing. If I'm rushing, please let me know. Am I talking too fast? Am I going too fast with you? All right, thank you. All right, so it must limit your physical or mental function in carrying out socially defined tasks. Run, walk, pull this thing. So if I have problem pulling something or run at the speed that you have, and it is long and substantial, remember that 2 words. It has to be a long-term thing, and it's also substantial. That it's not just a minor thing. So then you talk about disability. Disability features. It has substantial effects on activities and limit participation. That's what I'm trying to say. It must have substantial effects and then limit your participation in certain things. Some disability are temporal, others can extend across a lifetime. Meaning that if you have a strained leg, yeah, you may be a person with disability at that time, but it's not long and substantial, and now you cannot be considered as a person with disability because it's not something that it's just a strained leg, or you can even have a swollen leg. Yes, it's possible. You understand what I mean? But it does not mean that it's going to be there permanent. So we have temporary disability as well. We have long-term disability. So even when it is temporary, we don't normally consider that as very serious. Some disability come in different situation or age. We must know that. Some disability come with different situation or age. If you have accident, you can be real. I have a childhood friend. When we were in Patri in the university, they went somewhere and they were coming back to school and he had spinal cord injury. And, you know, he didn't start his life with a person using wheelchair, but eventually because of accident. So disability can actually come at different times, some at birth. So you must understand that it can be at birth, it can be at different age. And then for most people, the more you grow older, you will notice that your vision level is reducing. So that comes to age. But it is not as, if you can still use glasses and all that, it's still not something substantial. But they will call it, some will say it's a form of disability. But we'll get into some of these technicalities along the line. So, for instance, cerebral palsy comes at birth, spinal cord injury-related paralysis during later early childhood, Alzheimer's that make their hand to shake. Most times, it doesn't come with when you are born. It's when you are growing that the hand started shaking and all that. So you need to understand, because we're trying to see, getting the basic knowledge that you need to know. When we want to classify disability also, there's also what we call classification of disability. We have that are open and visible. Those are easier to understand. Some disability are easy to understand. You don't need anybody to say this person has a disability. But some are hidden. And so sometimes when we see people, sometimes we say, we used to say that thing as we were growing up. In fact, in my hometown, they used to have a proverb that you know how to eat yam and you know how to boil yam with a punctual spot, but you don't want to work. You may not understand it in English as it's not really. So that you have the brain to actually cook your yam with a pot with hole. Yet you are saying that you don't want to work, particularly if you are born within a farming society. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes some disability are not visible, and therefore you need to understand when a person says I'm a person with disability. You need to take time with them and find out truly if it is what they have is not open visibility. In fact, it has been said that hidden disability not immediately apparent. Statistics say that 70 to 80% of people have invisible disability, low vision. People use glasses, maybe it can be short-sightedness or long-sightedness. So it's still a form of disability. Low vision is a form of disability. Chronic pain is a form of hidden disability. When you have pain in your leg, there's no way anybody will know. You just say, I'm having pain, and it's terrible. There's no way you will know. You can only imagine. So when it's arthritis and co, these are hidden disability. When it's epileptics, a person with epilepsy can stand here and you are talking, all of you are GC, and then it happens suddenly. These are hidden disability, they are not open. So IDD, but pain, hard of hearing, you don't know who is hard of hearing. We'll talk about that. Some has to use aid. I was talking to somebody somewhere, and I didn't know that she was hard of hearing. And she said, please, can you speak louder? I was wondering, what's the problem? So it was when she now said, I forgot my hearing aid at home. So that is even better. But let's not talk about comparison. It's not good in the environment. Okay, you can also say some disability are progressive, some are stable. Progressive means it gets worse with age. Some, as it is, it doesn't change. So, but some are progressive. Chronic arthritis, muscular problems, they get worse as you grow old. In some places, it all depends. So you need to know all this basic information if you are going to work within the environment. Some are progressive. So you could see somebody 5 years ago, and when you see them now, you might think that they are just lying or learning conversation. No. But clearly, if you have a low vision, and I've seen people who are not born blind, but over time, maybe glaucoma or something, and then it got off their eyes completely, and they can no longer see. So maybe you were in primary school with them, and then you now get to university, and the guy say, I cannot see. You say, kilo share. It's a progressive disability that moves like that. So sometimes you have a progressive disability. Sometimes you have something that is stable, will change. So these are things you need to know. So this is really important for us as officers that work and deal with people. I shared something at the initial that sometimes we feel that persons with disability are not plenty. And that's why we think, no, the population is huge. Statistically, we have 1.3 billion globally persons with disability. 1.3. In Africa, we have 80 million people. In Nigeria, we have 35 million people. So you see that the number is huge. Don't ever assume that persons with disability they are very few, because you don't see them everywhere. Then the projection based on the World Health Recommendation, United Nations Recommendation, they said by 2050, the population of persons with disability will be over 2 billion. You know, we are at 1.3 billion now. Now, let's look at Nigeria statistics. As of 2018, Nigeria statistics of persons with disability was 27 million. As of 2024, was 35 million. That's how much? That's like 1 point something every year. So if by 2024, we are 35 million, by 2050, which is like 26 years, that means an average of 26 million plus 35. That would be like 60 million people with disability. That is larger than some of the countries around us. So we need to prepare in our head so that we know that what we are dealing with. And disability issue and inclusion issue is becoming a global thing, that if you handle or do something, you could actually, you know, in Nigeria, it's only when you are the son of the big guy that they attend to it. But it's coming to a time that when you do it to nobody, if they can get camera and capture you, you'll be in trouble. It was when it was like of the son of Mr. Gbenga Daniel, it will go viral quickly and everybody will talk. But if it is nobody's son, but it's a matter of time, we will get to the point where we will. So let's look at type of disability. Types of disability, now we're not looking at details now, one-on-one, so that you have understanding of it. Types of disability, we have what we call hearing impaired. And when you talk of hearing impaired, what you call the deaf, yes, in some countries, deaf is still allowed to be used. In most cases, deaf is still allowed to be used. But over time, to be politically correct, to say I'm hearing impaired sometime. But if you still say deaf, nobody will still kill you. But they're saying that it's a word that is too strong and that is derogatory. So people are finding a way to. So you know when you are plumpy, when you are on the big side and they say you're a big woman or big man, you feel somehow. But when you say, oh, you look beautiful but you are plumpy, you look like, as in, it's patronizing. You feel good. And when you say you are fat. So hearing impairment. When you talk about person with hearing impairment, which is our specialty, she has been with them for long, we can talk of hard of hearing. People, they are just hard of hearing. They can still hear without aid, but sometimes they can use aid. So you can have a person who is hard of hearing, doesn't hear, he has to move closer to you or read your lip to be able to get what you're saying. So you could have a deaf person who is just hard of hearing, or the individual can be completely deaf, is not hearing at all. And now when you look at them, interestingly, these are not something you see until you start talking. You understand what I mean? It's not something you see, because sometimes I've been in meeting, both local and international, and I started talking, and the guy said no. And that's why I started learning I started ASL, American Sign Language. I started learning sign language, because you can't be in the industry and not be able to speak, at least if it is basic. So for those of us who want to take it higher or want to do something around it, it's good. I think that I've seen somebody who understands sign language, about two, or maybe you just understand the greeting, but at least you did the greeting very well to show that you understand the greeting. So that person, basically we have like 7 categories of person with disability. While we still have others, they are under 7 broad categories. So we have what you would call the deaf or person with hearing impairment. So if you look at them, they read your lip when you're talking. Particularly those who can't hear at all, they read your lip. They look at your lip and all that. And then they read your gestures too. And maybe we'll talk about their characteristics. But sometimes we say they are very aggressive. They are not aggressive. You don't know what they have gone through. And then they say, if you put leaf in your mouth, you are looking for the fight of person. You know, there are things that we do for fun. So, gesturing, speaking. So most of them, and we have different sign language. We have American Sign Language, which I think is the global one that we all, the people recognize. We have British Sign Language, which is another one. Then we have a Nigerian Sign Language that is coming up. Though there's little difference that they want actually to be a Nigerian Sign Language, NSL. But these are not what we are talking about today. It's, but just for you to know. Type of disability, we have people visually impaired, or those that will say they are not sighted, or those that will say they are blind. Of a school, they still call them school of the blind. In some countries, there's still issue with nomenclature. Some say don't call us the blind, just say that we are visually impaired. One of the lawyers that is called, one of the person that we're taking on the law, because he's a lawyer, is visually impaired, is very, Salam is very sound, very sound and outspoken. He worked with Lagos State Minister of Justice. It's very sound, but except that their eyeball turns somehow, or you can see it in their eyeball. When you see a person with disability, when they stand up like this and you approach them, you might mistake them because there are eyes that look normal like eyeball, but the eyes cannot see. So what we're saying is don't assume that somebody is not. Just get closer, ask them questions, let them be able to identify what they want to be identified with. It's not us. It is not you to say I know. So in terms of visual impairment, we have low vision, whose vision are very low, but they can still see. So we will have some people who have low vision, but they can still see. We have some people who are colorblind. They don't see color. They do not see color. So, and when it comes to training, if it is really a special learning thing, we'll have asked who is colorblind, who does not know, because some of the, if you have a colorblind, some of these slides, you have issues with them. So when you do presentation, you are talking with them that has to do with graphics and learning. You need to be able to take care of them because they may be colorblind. They are not seeing the colors that you are projecting. And then there are people that are technically blind. They don't even see at all. Technically blind. But statistics have shown that only 10% of the visually impaired person are technically blind, that they don't see at all. So some see partially, some can see. Unfortunately, I've seen that where an eye problem was progressive. The individual could see at a very early age, and then it was progressing. The level of vision is reducing. The level of how he can see long-sighted. And that's why sometimes when people use glasses, they say that they have low vision also because it's either long-sighted or short-sighted. Over time, some of us will get to that age where you will find some people, they can't read tiny letters. You can find some people who can see so far. So these are differences that you need to know about person with disability when it comes to visual impairment. Types of disability, we look at physical mobility. Physical mobility has to do with something that does not allow you to move as fast as you want or limits your level at which you can run or do certain exercise in terms of mobility. So with this group also, that's why you need to understand, because sometimes if you say a person is visually impaired and they tell you that I'm visually impaired, it may be low vision, or it cannot see far-sighted, or it can be colorblind. Some don't even see color. It's because you don't see them often. And sometimes you must learn as you grow. I was in a meeting last year. That was the first time. And you also don't forget that some can have multiple disability. But last year it was when I see somebody who was blind and deaf at the same time. So using the sign language won't work. There's a way they do it, Mrs. They now have to do hand together. I was asking God, what happened? So if you are hearing impaired, they can use sign language. But if you are blind, the sign language won't work for you. So you now have to use your finger together. And I had to pay attention to this thing and say, wow. So learning sign language is a big issue. Now to now say that you are also not seeing, and then those who learn that one is different, because the way they do it, you have to put your hand together like this and be doing like this to train them, to talk to them at all. So if your finger is not in their finger, they can't see anything. So sometimes we should be very grateful, but I'm not comparing that. Sometimes when you say "Shebowoloni," or you are this. So when it comes to physical mobility, there are people who are zero mobility, and we have challenges here with our Nigeria airport and airline operators. We have challenges with people who are zero mobility that you can't move at all. You will need the aid of a mobility aid to work. So there are several mobility individuals that they cannot work at all. Some are depending on the level of polio or whatever. Some can still work with crutches. Some can still work with some aid. But there are some that we call zero mobility. When it's a zero mobility, in fact, going inside, and that's why the challenges have been there all over, and the conversation is ongoing that some airline will not want to take a zero mobility because they will tell you when there's issues on the air, how would they find their way, and then how will they get it. But laws are changing, and I used to follow America very well. Last year, they did that even if it's a zero mobility, you must carry them. And then we're doing a campaign which we started, which are not a luggage. You also need to understand is that wheelchair is not a luggage, is a mobility tool for them. So, but we're not going to all that. Some use crutches, some use braces. You know, braces, they can use it to walk. It's a type. So when you look at person with disability, mobility challenge, inside each disability, there's still category. So you need to understand those categories that they are category. When somebody say I'm blind, is he technically blind? Is he of low vision? Is he color blind? And when you get them into the classroom, you will see, particularly with children, if it is of low vision, a child has to sit in the front very close to and these are things you need to know, because sometimes they will bring a case of a child or a parent who say that my child is being abused, his right is being abused in school. And the teacher said, we are not abusing him. We gave him a seat. That's abuse of his right. You already know. It's air that we don't even take care of little things. In advanced country, they get all this in and they put it properly. And then we'll talk about some other ones. So when we talk about physical mobility, some use walker and all that. So it all depends. You need to have all this understanding. And then we talk about intellectual disability, IDD. This has various intellectual developmental disability. This is where they have many. They have many people. They just catch correct. They have many disability. We have autism. We have dyslexia. We have mental illness. Mental illness, depression is also a disability. It's only that we don't think it is. Maybe a temporary one. You know, people go into depression. Maybe they lost their loved one, or things are not just working. I've seen. I know somebody, a lady. She has been in depression for years, and they take a lot of drugs. See, disability is not cheap. We must, when you see somebody with disability, I think that if we can't do anything, encourage them. Most of what I do, if I can't give you money, even with Lagos, I do like this. I give them a thumb up, keep going or something, instead of, or something. So we need to understand, under IDD is plenty. Palsy, cerebral palsy, a central nervous system issue, epilepsy, mood, anxiety, personality, organic brain, stroke, schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, you may not think it exists. People hear words. That's why sometimes we think it's our it's an issue. They hear words. One woman in Nigeria went to abroad and she was saying, when she moved to abroad, she suffered schizophrenia and she was hearing what? But to back in Nigeria and to back in UK, if not because she was based in UK, or she is still in UK, she'll be in UK for 30. You will say that they will have to carry him to one abalis to other. But they understand those things in those advanced countries that you can actually be hearing what? Nobody is talking to you, but you're hearing what? You cannot sleep. I've seen one, a lady. She will be working and she's hearing what? And it is not that God is angry with him or her. Where in our cultural environment, we just what you buy, they don't get you. Maybe, I don't know, but it could really be so schizophrenia. So you could have a person, a young lady or a young man who is handsome or beautiful, and you say, I'm hearing what? How do you help that person? You have to believe them because you cannot hear the word you're hearing. And it is true. Some cannot even sleep. The moment they want to close their eyes, they start saying things. And it is not a result of drug. Excuse me. Sometimes we think it is drug. It's not drug related. So we need to understand this. We are going to help the society. Attention deficit hyperactive disorder, ADHD. That one is, they can't concentrate. In fact, statistics say that ADHD people die very young. But here we will say, they don't get you. Go back to the village. Oh. I'm telling you small now before it's too late. You can go back to the village and not get the remedy. But there are some therapists that they are training these days who understand some of these things. And for those who are in depression, this young lady that I said, it's no longer a young lady. At least I've known her in the last 20 years. Unfortunately, she does not have the required money and the drug. And then sometimes the shame that we associate with it. They will say, go to Yaba Left. Nobody want to go to Yaba Left. Thank you, man. No, don't worry. So nobody want to go to Yaba Left. You know what I mean? Yaba Left in Lagos, yes. Where we call Yaba Left. So they don't want to go. But if she had had enough money, she would have come out of that depression by now. Because each time she had money and she followed the doctor's guide and nursing, she get better and she's very fine. But oftentimes, because she said it was, the lady is getting to maybe 52 this year, she's not married. Because depression setting, there are things that you don't know that you just commonize. That you can bet weight and you don't even know what you are getting when you can go to and do things yourself. Disability is costly, I can tell you. There are wheelchairs that are $14, $15 million price. So depending on where you are coming from and how you are. So learning disability, that's also under, that's a class, but we can mention like 2030 under IDD. So you need to understand that, but because we have to have an umbrella name for each of them. So this is, IDD is something, we have people who call LITU, they call them LITU. DOAV. DOAV is also qualified as, being a DOAV is also a disability. Because it's, don't forget, long and substantial thing that does not allow you to, they do not grow. Maybe it's hormone issue or medical issue, they do not grow to the level. So we have also the DOAV, which is another classification. And then we have the speech impairment. Speech, they can't talk, but some of them can hear. But unfortunately, some people they have speech impairment and hearing impairment. So, but don't call them deaf and dumb. It's derogatory. You can say deaf and mute. Because when you say a dumb person, you come out that brain, you don't have brain, you don't have sense. So, deaf and dumb may not be the right word. So, like I said, it shows that people can have multiple disability. How many of us have seen deaf and mute? I'm sure that is common that we have seen deaf and mute. They cannot talk, they cannot speak. So they just lose the ability to talk medically or whatever. So that's type of disability that we need to. Albinism is just they just classified recently, not quite 3-4 years, because albinism you may not know. Their major problem is their eyesight and their skin color. And sometimes, even in classes, that's why they are now advocating that when you give average pupil 2 hours to solve a question in exam, you should give them like 3 or 4 because they don't see very clearly. And then a major problem with albinism is their skin color. In Africa, we have a harsh sunny environment, and that causes them cancer. That's why they die. They die majorly because of cancer, because of their skin color. So you need to understand it's also a disability. Sometimes we don't, now in those states, I think they are now having something like school for albinism because they are now understanding that they need more time when it comes to reading. And some of the challenges is even the HCM, we're discussing that someone that is an abuse of their right, because sometimes the light in the HCM is not strong enough for them to be able to collect their money. So we are also arguing that it's an abuse of right of a person with albinism not to have the kind of light that will help the person to get the money that he kept in your this thing. But oftentimes we don't know. And so sometimes because they also don't talk, you don't even meet them. But when you have meetings like that, you know that. So that's something. So dealing with how do I deal with all of this as we go to round up around it? When you have a visually impaired person, identify yourself. Oh, my name is. Maybe sometimes it's not a case issue. Don't say I'm officer something because they can be on the hedge. You just mention your name. Except when they come to this thing and say, now that you know that you are within our barrack, my name is so. I'm an officer. Because the moment you say I'm officer something initially, and particularly if he's not educated, the alarm don't ring in his brain or her brain. Hey, officer something. So identify yourself. And then when you have finished talk with the visually impaired person, I've made that mistake severally. I just corrected, it was last year that somebody taught me. Now, there was this lady, very brilliant and always everywhere, and is always called to speak in different events. So there was an event we were, and we have met several times. I'll just say, oh, my name is so. You have to introduce yourself because they don't know. Particularly if you are not living with them, they have not developed a strength of smelling that they can know it is you. But if you live with them for long, they have the ability to know that it is Bola or it is. But somebody you meet for the first time, introduce yourself to the person. Because then the moment you finish your talk with them and say, I'm about to leave, because they don't know you have left. So sometimes you'll have gone and the person is still talking. It's not fair. So the mistake I said I was making with this lady was the fact that maybe we are here together and then we just spoke now. Just say my name is Inka, blah, blah, blah. We talk and we have that discussion. I left and I now remember there's something that I should have said that I did not say. And now come back and now start talking again. They say, introduce yourself. Meaning that she doesn't know again who is talking. So when you come back to the same person, when you say maybe they come to your station and you have issues, you talk about it, and say, oh, give me 2 minutes. I'm about to do something. Maybe you're going to the restroom or you're going to take something. When you come back, just introduce yourself to the person because there's no way he or she will know you are the same person because it's not used to your voice already. But if it is a close family member that they live with, sometimes they're able to pick the voice of their family member. And in fact, for us too, sometimes when your younger brother or your younger sister is talking outside, you pick their voices just because of you are already used to them. So the moment you are dealing with a visually impaired person, identify yourself, talk about the environment where you are. Oh, where we are now is a station, but never to worry, there's no gun, there's nothing, so that you calm them down. If it is possible, also give them an impression of what you are wearing. I'm 6 tall inches. I'm wearing a brown jacket and a blue, so that you can help them to feel the environment. Describe everything about you. If you are dark, I'm a bit dark. I'm 5 feet. Describe yourself to give them a sense of understanding the environment where they are. Because sometimes, try and close your eyes and not say anything and they say walk or something, you will just be using your brain to imagine maybe there's something that can harm you. Also, make them comfortable. Let them know this is a station. There's no gun here. Excuse me. We are very comfortable. We appreciate that you come. I'm a female. I'm a male. 6 feet inches. I'm dark in color. I'm wearing a wig. If you don't wear a wig, I'm wearing a skin hair cut, so that at least they have an idea of where they are, who they are speaking with. Our environment is very clean. Here we don't, in the hall, this is a hall where you are. So you introduce and make those things, you help the person to relax. That's what it means. So ask if they need help. Sorry, ask if or she need help. That's it. Ask if, okay, ask if help is required. What can I do for you to make you comfortable to talk to me? You understand? Because you want the person to talk. That's why sometimes they don't talk. Because they are not very comfortable that what I'm going to give you is safe. So let them know, be rest assured, I'm not going to use anything against you. Be very comfortable. Where you don't want to talk, I will honor your decision not to talk, but I want you to talk because of so. Tell me, tell me, tell me. So ask if else is required. Is your seat okay? Are you sure that you are comfortable on that seat? So that you make the person feel a bit at home. Accept their feedback in case it is no. Sometimes they want to do certain things. Like if they want to cross the road, maybe okay, they are coming from and you see them, maybe, not even your station. You see a person fisher employment and you ask, and you ask with his cane, you want to cross the road, ask them, can I help you to cross? Don't just go and grab their hand. Some want to do their things on their own and they count it as insult. When you just grab their hand and say, and then when you now say no, please accept it as no. Don't be offended. Otherwise, you say, somebody that we are even trying to help. Self. Accept their no if it is no. If you say, no, I don't need help, I don't need help. If you say, I need help, okay, and then don't grab them anyhow. Don't grab the hand they use for their cane. Grab the other one and say, we are moving sideways. So you are guiding them. We are moving sideways. There's a gutter around that place. Please take out yourself. Because if you are going to help, you must be ready to help. So we are moving like 4, 3, 5 steps ahead. And then when we get to that, we have a door. You have to be speaking if you are really helping. Not that you just grab their hand and say, follow me. The person is not saying. So there are a lot of issues that are, so if you don't want to help, just don't let them. But the one that comes to your office, you have a duty to ensure that they're very comfortable at your office and they can actually talk. Get proper briefing about them. What do you want me to know about you? Be very comfortable, but you don't want me to know, I'm fine with it. Don't say, we are trying to help you. That we're trying to help you, you are still forming big boy, you are not talking. Respect their view. Because socially they have been bastardized, emotionally they have been bastardized. You don't want to hurt to their shame or to the orientation they are coming from. And you don't even know where they are coming from, their home, whether they are even treated well. And so sometimes they can really be on edge. Even married women and men, when there's fight in the morning and you get to office, we are not very careful, you will transfer the aggression to the other person. So you cannot imagine somebody who has challenges and who have been told you are nobody, you don't know what their parents have told them. You want to help. Cane or guide dogs should not be collected or thrown away. Some in Nigeria, they don't have guide dog because not everybody has that kind of money. But don't collect their cane and throw it away. No. So it's not good. And that's why I said, whichever hand, some are left-handed, some are right-handed. If it is right hand that the guy used for, or the lady used for the cane, don't take the right hand in helping them, because that's what he will use. Even though you are describing, he's still trying to feel the environment himself, because he's trying to be sure that what you are saying is the truth, so that you don't lead him into the ditch. So these are basic things you need to know about a person with visual impairment. Hearing impairment. Hearing can be mild or permanent. We've said that. It can be mild or it can be permanent. It all depends. Deafness can be, that's the language we use, that the society use. It can be permanent, it can be mild. Be sure that you know which word it is. Never be angry if they stare at your lip. They use lip reading. You are talking and they are reading your lip. Don't be angry, particularly if you're a lady and you wear, okay, thank God that officer don't wear makeup. So you might think she's looking at your lip or your red lip. No, it's not looking at your lip. But you are not. He's trying to pick what you're saying. So sometimes they can stare at your lip very well. They are watching your body language. So sometimes those are things that they use to make up. Do not be annoyed if their voice is loud. Some try to talk and they use sign language and they're still shouting. If you are a posh person, they are trying to talk. So sometimes their voice is loud. Just be prepared. When you know who is coming, be prepared for issues that they can come with them. Look directly at them, speak up to them. And this happened to almost everybody, even if you are visually impaired. I had somebody, Dr. Shehu, was talking to Abuja. He said that he was one that wanted to run. He had a PhD and he was doing fine. He read election and something stuff at his PhD level. So he worked with World Bank as a consultant, earning like $3,000, $4,000 per month. So he said that But he has a house in Lagos. He's from Lagos. He said when they moved into when he got the World Bank job and he has to move to Abuja, that when they got to the landlord was scared for him. Because he didn't know him. He now said that, but I think that you can see much more. He now said that instead of the landlord to say Bolo tomorrow, so he's now facing his wife and say, Madam Bono tomorrow, say, what you talk to me? I'm the one that is collecting the house, not my wife. You know, they feel embarrassed that you are talking to the other person. So when they bring somebody with them, don't be staring at the other person. Let them talk to them directly and let the interpreter talk to you. They feel embarrassed that you are communizing them or that they are not important in their presence. So when you want to talk to, even if it is hard of hearing, face the person. They like it. They see it as a sign of respect. If you don't understand sign language, it's good to have a sign language interpreter when you're talking with hard of hearing or completely deaf person. It's always good. And I recommend that if one or two of us can learn it. It's a difficult thing. Adult education is not easy. Like myself now, I'm trying to do it. But she has been there. She understands the thing perfectly. So I just felt that you can't be in the industry, in this ecosystem. That's why if you attend local and international, I don't have to be a professional, but at least I can communicate how are you doing, and I can ask basic questions. That's my own interest. And even at that, do you know that sign language is becoming money? You can ask her. It's money now because it's now mandatory that every event that you are doing, every public event, you need a sign language interpreter. Those guys, their money is going up now. Their money is going up. Oh. So that can also be a side hustle. But I'm not recommending it for officer like you. Well, I'm just saying that if you understand, it's also something that we should. Speech impairment. Speech impairment people, some of them can talk. There are people who call stammerer. I'm sure you know that kind of person. They can only stammer. It's not that they lost the ability to, they are not mutes, basically. But it's still, stammering is still, but like you said, stammering can be corrected. But that's not your job to say you should have corrected this thing. It's not your job. So sometimes, do not be annoyed if their voices is audible too, or it's too loud. Or you are asking question and the guy or the lady is taking time to explain. Where we go? If you are in a hurry. So if you know that this is the kind of person that you are dealing with today, take your time. Not that my guy is calling me, otherwise you have messed it up. They will always feel slighted when you are talking to them and say, sorry, I'm coming back. Sorry. Even you, when somebody is talking to you and they are picking their call, sometimes you feel somehow. So don't be afraid to look. They can also look at them directly, use sign language, give a personal space. For a person who uses a hearing impaired person who uses sign language to talk to you. And I think was it in Ekiti last year that we said that we were dealing with PWD units, and the head of this said that they had to go and hire one because they cannot. It was a case of rape or something. They had to go and hire a sign language person. Give them their space. You know, sign language has and use and all that. Don't be so close to them like this. Give them their space. It's important. Dealing with IDD. IDD is complicated a little, depending on the one you are dealing with. Autism, cerebral palsy, mental issues. So, but at least I just try to say these are basic things you should observe a little. They may have concentration issue and they are not coordinated. How many of us have seen a child with autism and cerebral palsy? They have concentration issue and sometimes they are not very coordinated. So if you're going to help them and they are in your station for whatever issue, you have to be patient. In fact, they may be talking something and they still talk another thing and you say, don't waste time, you are wasting my time. No, you don't do stuff like that. Ask for help from professionals if you know you cannot handle them. There are professionals who can help you to do that. So sometimes your unit may need a professional to help in those issues because IDD can be really a bit complicated. And then some who also have multiple disability under IDD. You know, if you have one, it's a challenge. Not to not have multiple disability under IDD, maybe learning issue and all that. So Patience is highly needed because they are not coordinated oftentimes. So you need to be patient with them, really patient. Do not hard pressure or demand they go at your speed. In fact, sometimes you can trigger certain emotion with them and they start crying or they start misbehaving because pressure is shit from different angles for them. They have so if we are really interested in IDD case and intellectual development, I think that you may need to study more because in fact one of these courses there are things that you can teach for a whole day. So you see that we are trying to put things together so that you can have the basic understanding. Remember, they may not have social skill and emotional intelligence. You are the one that is posh. And so you want them to look clean and something. Maybe a saliva is coming from the mouth or something. Remember, they don't have social skills. You and I is the one that we are trained to have social skills. And you know that social skills are learned. We do not bring them from heaven. You learn how to comport yourself. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to behave. You have learned how to give personal space. So they may not have social skill at all. The other guys can even have a little social skill. A deaf person can have a social skill if he's well educated. A visually impaired person can have social skill if he's educated. You understand what I mean? But most IDD people, they may not have social skill. Emotional intelligence, they don't know when not to shout. It's part of other people can have emotional intelligence. They talk to you softly and all that. But when it comes to IDD people, sometimes they don't have emotional intelligence that you may require. Physical mobility, they don't remember it's not all physical mobility per se that have IDD. So don't see a person on the wheelchair and think that he has IDD, intellectual disability. Yeah, there could be people with multiple disability, don't forget. So it's better to ask a person whether they have multiple disability or just the one that you can see, so that you know how to deal with them from day one. You understand what I'm trying to say? So do not touch their mobility device except they give you permission. Don't forget that their wheelchair is also their mobility device. And in this age of COVID and all those things that you can spread disease to them. So except, oh, can I touch your wheelchair? If they require, if they say yes, touch. If they say don't touch my wheelchair, or if it is you want to push them, ask them, can I give you help in pushing? And you push from the back. If you have money, you can sometimes buy, some of them buy electric chair now. But electric chair is not a common price with most people. Sometimes we think that those things are not expensive. They are very expensive. Some of them their prices are higher than the price of the cars you use. So depending on the level of electric shares too, electric shares too come in different grades. So a person with, you should celebrate a person with disability, particularly the one that are chronic. It's a lot of money to run. Particularly IDD, we were in Abeokuta, Ogun State last year, December. A woman with a child with autism or intellectual disability, one of them, was sharing her experience that, to be honest, some of the mother killed those child because they might think there's no hope. Because sometimes you may need to visit hospital almost every 2 or 3 days. Which employer will understand all those things? If it's abroad, they will cost something reasonable accommodation. You already know that they have this because they already declare. So government allowed that. There's something that Nigeria is coming up with that I like that they just initiated, they just launched about last week or something. Reasonable accommodation in job. That when a company or organization hire person with disability, that government will be supporting them with assistive technology to make them to work. I hope it is possible because our Nigeria is it's a different case. Most of those assistive things we miss over time and all that, but that's where we find ourselves. Avoid showing, do not be so quick to lift them or carry them, especially if they are opposite sex. Most of the ladies hate it when it is male that is carrying them, particularly if they are married. And then please, if you are giving them help, don't think that you are the only one person. And then we've seen cases where a woman said that the guy touched her breast. It's an abuse. We'll talk about that. She is abuse and all those things. I would do so. Avoid showing unwarranted sympathy or stereotypical language. Arrow, hey, clinical. Why those things are good, please avoid all those unwarranted sympathy with them. You only add into their problem. Oh, you look good, you look strong, you are doing this. Can I help you? So that gives them a lot of whatever. Now, beyond here, yeah, and arrest. You know what I said the other one? I say stereotypical language. Hey, yeah, beleo. And then some of us even abuse them. You stare too much. You should learn to teach. That's something that we're trying to push. You should learn to teach your child. Some children are not very cultural. Of a truth, they've not seen that kind of disability before. And then they decide now stand and go and stay. You create trouble for emotional trouble for them. And even adults. I've seen adults that they even open their mouth and stare. Abba, be a bit discreet. That's why we're outdoors. So beyond yeah and arrest, most of us, all we can do, yeah, sorry. Oh. So as I close, beyond yeah and arrest, dismantle stereotypes and myths associated with PDB social profile. Don't assume. In your brain, tell yourself that normal human being. That's the first step to start. Yeah, no. Dismantle it in your brain and talk about it. They're human beings. They can do. Push for society where every person's rights are guaranteed, not charity. Don't. I've seen cases where I met a guy and he was offering me 20 naira and I said 20 naira. Even I know the money is not 20 naira that I need. I said, sorry. I asked him why. He said, I thought you were asking. I said, I'm not asking. I can even give you money. And I've seen people where they're very angry, particularly when they say, I've asked people who use wheelchair and who are doing very well, who say that they met people and they gave them like 100 naira. And the guy is thinking 100 naira. I can even feed you. So sometimes, don't be quick to give them money until they ask for money. Especially when they are educated and you know that they are a bit refined. Don't be too quick to slot. And how much are you even giving? I've not seen how many people yet of whom I want to get religious donation that they do 2,000, 3,000, oftentimes 500, 200 naira, 100 naira, 50 naira, 20 naira. Well, maybe when they gather it is bodies. So, but don't be quick to quickly give money, except you know that this person is actually just say, hey, that's when you are supposed to give them money, not when you just see somebody. Treat PWD as a person, not object in every conversation. Don't say, and our religion, our social, even in our Bible, we say the blind Bartholomew. Even the culture in those days, they are nobody. The blind Bartholomew. So the man does not have a name. He is blind first before it's a name. Always regard the person. It has to be the person before the disability. So the Bible too say the blind Bartholomew. So maybe they are, we're trying to, it may be that they are trying, okay, which of the blind that you are talking? You now say the blind, the Bartholomew that is blind, that one. So you are distinguishing. But oftentimes, they don't have name. You just say the blind, a paraleg, a schizophrenia person and all that. In fact, there's this woman in the Bible that was not mentioned, that she was a schizophrenia person. So even in our religious books, I'm a Christian, I'm not shying away from it. But these are things that we need to begin to, a conversation we must begin to do. Go beyond awareness creation around disability rights and justice. Push for effective implementation. When you see something that is abusive, even where you are not in your clothes as officer, and you see somebody abusive, why are you doing that? It's human being. It may go a long way. That means you're already changing the society perception little by little. You don't wait until when something happens. Actively promote initiatives that champion disability progress. Whatever you can do at your level, do it. Don't wait for anything. Just do yourself. Do it. Even as officer or if you are not officer, do it. Openly call injustice. Where you find injustice holding, openly call it out and say, no, it should not be done. Can we bridge the gap of inclusion in the society? Is it possible? I would say yes. What can you do to bridge the gap? The gap is still wide. We are still talking about it. Remember, disability divide always exists. People still say normal person, abnormal person. What is normal? What is abnormal? Even the person you call normal can be abnormal. So let's stop using normal, abnormal person. Who is abnormal person? Even the person you call normal can be abnormal. Common sense is not common. So let's see how we can bridge the disability gap by what we say, by what we do. by the way we talk to people. Accept PWD as human being with their right. They have a right. They have right to education. When you see somebody who is supposed to educate their child and they are not educating them, tell them they have a right to education. We're not going to go into a lot of some of them, but I think by Sasayan will talk about certain some of the laws and all that. Accommodate their concern and treat them fairly. They will have different concerns. That's why we call something reasonable accommodation. Not in Nigeria, we have not developed reasonable. You see somebody is trying to enter a lift and is having trouble. Whoa, just because allow the person to pass. Give them the right of way if you can. Make sure your operational processes are accessible and allow their involvement. When you come, because some of the things we will learn to look is your office where they come, are the office accessible? Do you have a ramp? Do you have all those things? When you want to interview a head of hearing, it all depends. I know that body is an issue. There's what they call loop that can aid hearing for a deaf person. You are talking, then the thing can amplify within the hall. If you are talking, particularly where you need to interview them and all that, if there's money, or if you find people who travel abroad, you can ask them to buy for you. These are small, small things that will make the operation, particularly where they are coming, the place they are coming, make it accessible. If there are stairs and there's no how to get up, it's very difficult. Consider accessibility in everything you do. How can a person who is visually impaired enter this office now? This is really important. Do we have ramp? Do we have sign around to say that the commandant office is, you go straight? Do you have a map? All those small, small things are very important so that somebody is not, I don't have to be asking questions when I come to your environment. There's always, in an ideal place, by the time you are coming, you see something like a signboard that show direction to where you are going. But we need to ask anyway, we're in Nigeria. Make sure your operation processes are accessible and allow their involvement when they want to come in. As share information with them. This is important. You can develop a group that you talk to, share information about new development with them and all that. How does society benefit from such if we make it? Better health, mental health. See, if you treat a person with disability very well, they can be calm and cool like every other person. They won't be angry and be shouting. It's when they feel that threatened that they shout at you or they misbehave. So a society is better managed when everybody is taken care of. Better social and economic outcome for all. Some of them can really work. But the way we treat them, what am I working for? So these are things that can really increase acceptance of disability. Acknowledge that every other person is as human as you. Don't feel like you are a god or something. Help in creating a more inclusive society. A closing thought, cost of disability negligence is high, even for the society. If we continue to neglect people with disability, we're talking about 35 million now. You can imagine some of them, they will see hard to the problem that we have in 10, 30 years. So the better we solve this problem, societal problem, as we go. And also don't forget that by 2050, we'll be having like average of 60 million. That's 24 years away. Sometimes or 25 years away. Sometimes you think that 25 years is too long. How many of us have left university in the last 30 years? When you were living, like me, when I was living, when they say plan 25 or 30 years, I was that long time. 25, 30 years here, we are still here. We don't have a long-term plan. So you are asking now, what is your long term for 30 years? You say, not 30 years. Tamaku. Yeah, so continuously neglecting and eradicating and creating segregation does not strengthen integration of society. If you continue to abuse them, you continue to let them be, and nobody is taking care of them, it will not strengthen integration. And what we're thinking for is integration. We're all talking about inclusive society. Go anywhere now, they talk of inclusive and sustainable society. And there's no inclusive society without person with disability. Yes, thank God that in terms of other inclusion, we have not grown to that level. Other inclusion means that LGBT, all of them, but at least disability inclusion is something that we do. Also, thank you for this session. If you have a question so that we can quickly, so thank you for listening. So Do we have question around this? Does it look, oh, it's very clean and clear? Thank you, sir.